Today we talk about my favorite topic in astrology, which is about past lives and present lives and what you have to develop in this life. Or if you do not believe in past lives, then you can take it what you come with naturally talented with in this life, what you're born naturally talented, or what you develop naturally in your early age, probably in the first 20 to 30 years in your life, versus what you have to develop later in life. And this is indicated, this most important indication in your horoscope. There is nothing more important in your horoscope than the position of Ketu and Rahu, or as they're known in Western astrology, South Node and North Node of the Moon. They're the reason the person incarnates back in the Earth, comes back to Earth to learn the lesson of these planets, or these points as we call them in astrology. So if you learn what you have to focus on this life, you will have it so much more clearer picture about your path in life and about what's good for you and what you have to let go of. And usually Ketu, or the South Node, will indicate what we were really good in past life with, what we focus in past life, where we feel confident. So usually these, the place where Ketu is placed in our horoscope will show us where we have more natural talent or skill, or where we feel more confident in or we're just better in the first part of life. And Rahu will show us what we have to develop in this life, what we haven't focused in past lives, if you don't believe in past lives, in the early part of your life, and what you will develop later on in life, usually in the second part of life after 35, 40 onwards. So you have a bit of difficulties where Rahu is, in the areas of life where Rahu indicates, because Ketu, you also have some boredom in the house of where Ketu indicates, because it's something you've already learn how to use it, learn how to be good at, so they're not easy positions, but they're very interesting because it will give you such depth of understanding about yourself. And what I want you to go is, I want you to go to my website astrolada.com, go to my birth chart calculator, and I want you to, if you know your time of birth, enter it correctly, then you'll be able to see the house positions of Ketu and Rahu, or the South Node and the North Node. And if you don't know your time of birth, then just look at the sign position of Rahu and Ketu. The sign position will be given underneath on the table, where it will say Ketu is in Aries or Ketu is in Libra. Rahu is always the opposite sign. The South Node is always opposite the North Node. Because if you have developed something in the past life, the opposite you haven't much developed, And when you get that chart, or if you're using Western chart to get this, but if you're using mine, this is what you're gonna get. For instance, you might get Ketu here, and Rahu will be here in the 10th, 4th sign, 10th sign. But I want you to take a look this time of the house position. You can have the houses are indicated with Roman numericals. So you can have it house 3 and house 4 in the 4th sign together. So basically Ketu will, if the sign is indicated by one of the squares, each square is one sign. And what the sign is, you can see from the table underneath. So you can see which sign Ketu is in, which sign Rahu is in, and you will see that there is also Roman numericals. There is the house cuffs that are inside. It's a bit difficult, but I just want you to pay attention to these Roman numericals. So if you have Ketu with the 3rd and 4th house cups, you'll have Rahu with the 9th and 10th house cups in the opposite. So I want you to listen the video which says North Node in 10th house, or North Node in 9th house. Both of these videos, because I'll be indicating them by the position of the North Node, always Rahu in 10th house or Rahu in 9th house. And you will learn what your karmic duties are in this life, what you have to focus on in this life, what you have to learn to let go of, which is Ketu usually. It's really amazing. It's the best part of astrology. The next position is one of the more difficult positions of Rahu and Ketu. It's when Rahu, as we call it, the North Node, is in the 4th house, indicated in my chart like that, or in the Western chart like this. You'll see this sign of the North Node in the 4th, and then immediately the South Node, Ketu, goes into the 10th house, as indicated here. And it has the very similar influence as Cancer, which is the fourth sign, as Rahu being in Cancer, and as the South Node Ketu being in Capricorn, which is the 10th sign. That's why it corresponds to the being in the 4th and 10th houses in astrology. And what does it mean? Well, let's start with seeing what you developed in past lives. These people in past lives, they develop very Capricornian qualities, which to some extent can be quite good. These are qualities of responsibilities, of material actions, of making a name for oneself. Usually this is like, Capricorn is a sign of action, of doing. Cancer is a sign of feeling. And they really developed well. The 10th house is the house of action, of doing. That's why it's the house of career. So these people either had in previous lives quite developed careers. They were very business savvy and focused on business, focused on their name, on their reputation, basically, on their status in society. That's status, basically. And that status received through your actions, to what you do. So usually it's the career, what you've achieved in the world, what you left behind you, like actions, like something palpable. So these people were good at this in the past life. And from very young age now, when they become responsible, they start taking responsibility, they might start building a career from early on, especially the male ones. But they also have a tendency to worry a lot, like Capricorns, and to to try and make sure that everything is done properly, And the thing is, they would often start building good careers from early on, or just be very busy, very responsible people. Even if you're a mother, you'll be always going around doing things for the children, always trying to arrange everything, But at the same time, this will not bring them the same satisfaction as they used to have before. They will not bring it as the same as the early part of age or as the previous past lives, Because in this life, and in the second part of your life, from 30, 40 onward, the wiser part of your life or the universe wants you to focus on developing the 4th house or the sign Cancer, if Rahu is in Cancer, which is very similar, which is the feeling side of you, which is your emotional needs. To focus on this and realize, develop your feelings, rather than the actions of Capricorn, the outer, focusing on the outer achievements in life. You have to focus on the inner satisfaction. Cancer is inner happiness, inner satisfaction. How well you're balancing your emotions with your career, And at a certain point, these people will start getting quite disappointed or quite detached and disinterested in their career, because it's no longer giving them the satisfaction it initially did, or in past lives. But they'll still try and cling to it, and often this is a sign, these positions, Rahu and Ketu, is a situation which is often brings to depression people, because they kind of feel, dissatisfied emotionally, because they haven't developed well Cancer. They don't have experience in the 4th house, which is 4th house in Vedic astrology, and in Western as well, is the house of happiness. So they don't know how to ground themselves with happiness. They think that by working hard, achieving their goals, and being very active, they will do this, but they feel dissatisfaction. And they have to develop 4th house, which is also the house of being receptive. And not always actions will bring you where you want, In this life, actually, especially the second part of this life, you'll be more successful if you learn how to be receptive. Cancer is the feminine sign of receptivity, not of action. It's a sign where you it means satisfying your needs, but not going after them, basically, not going and running after them, but being receptive to what is offered to you, rather than you trying to create your own, as I said, Capricorn and 10th house is not only career, it's the actions you take to make things happen. And in this life, actually, it will be sometimes good to let go of things and not try and make these things happen as you want, because you cannot always control everything. Especially in this life, it will be harder for you to control these things, and will be easy instead to focus on developing the 4th house, which is receptivity, your more feminine nature. The female side of a person is the one which opens itself to opportunities and waits. When it comes, he takes advantage of it, but doesn't go chasing them around, doesn't go running after their, I don't say don't be ambitious and don't do anything, but at certain point in your life there will be something like a breakdown and depression where you feel like however many actions you take, they don't make you happy, they don't give you emotional satisfaction, and you will have to focus on being more receptive, being more, how do I say, learning to understand your feelings as well, to understand what is important for you, because Cancer is knowing your needs, doesn't mean acting on them. If you think like I'm no longer in love with my life, I'm gonna go and live, no, it's just at least being clear with yourself what your inner needs emotionally are, and that's like having to analyze your feelings more, having to put yourself in a more receptive state rather than just go and act because your emotions are too turbulent, because you never learn to control those well in past life. You never learn to get to know and your actions which are caused through your feelings. For instance, someone really upsets you, or someone tells you that you're fired, for instance, and your feelings are really hurt and you feel devastated, and your reaction might be completely wrong, because you're reacting emotionally. You might kick your boss or slap him, or your girlfriend tells you hurts your feelings, and you might throw a plate at her rather than tell her, listen, you hurt my feelings, this is how I feel, let's discuss. They don't have this emotional intelligence, so to speak, and they need to learn how to control those emotions in them, not to control them, not to show them, that's not a good idea either, but how to express them properly rather than fly off the walls or go to extremes, And as I said, often this can happen more naturally in the second part of life, and such women can be quite painful, because imagine if you have such a reactive woman who is not so much in touch with her feminine side, the fourth house, with her receptive side, where she tries and goes and do and act, and she feels depressed more and more, going into depression because she feels this hole within herself emotionally, and when you tell her something and she doesn't like it, she reacts completely off the wall because she's not in touch with her emotions so much, or she doesn't know how to express these properly. But later in age, after 35, 40 onwards, these women become easier to live with. For men it's similar as well, but not as painful as women with this position. And they can have better relationships because they've learned, they've explored the emotional world more, they focus more on it, and they know better how to navigate through the emotional world, the emotional waters of Cancers without being hysterical, not hysterical. What else? Fourth house is family and home, settling down. So these people can really benefit rather than just focusing on career. They can heal depression or by settling, by finding a place where they where they spend more time at home, even if it's not like starting a family yet, if they're younger. Just having a very secure base of operation where they can retreat and analyze their emotional world, their inner worlds better. And later on in life, it comes like creating your own family, having your own home, your own property as well. That's very important for these people. That it will give them happiness and more joy of having their own home and feeling protected there, where they can navigate the emotions better. It's fourth house on the outer level is home, family, settling down, and it's good to develop this, but usually it can be delayed till the second part of life, after 30, 35 onwards, because Rahu, the north node, we develop it a bit later in life, in the second part. But anyway, let me know, give me feedback, yeah, Saturn and Rahu are never easy, but everyone has issues, don't worry.